Hey Ayumi, thank you so much for doing this. I'm so happy to have you here. I'm not going to present who you are. I'm just going to let you present yourselves. So,
Oh, thank you so much, Elena. I'm so happy for this invitation, and I came to Paris just to see you, so it's really happy.
oh, thank you.
So to present myself, so I'm Ayumi Moore Aoki. I am the founder and the CEO of Women in Tech Global, which is a global organization that I founded in end of 2017, beginning of 2018, on a mission to empower 5 million women and girls in STEAM, until the year 2030. And we work in 4 different pillars from education, business, digital inclusion, and advocacy. And we really want to work around the world. We have a community of over 200,000 women today, and we have opened 50 chapters around the world, and all of us working together in this big sisterhood community to empower and to impact women and to close and to bridge this gender gap that exists today across the world.
Thank you so much. It's, as you know, I'm part of Women in Tech, and it's such an honor for me to be part of this. It's actually an interesting story because I became a mentor like 4 years ago, and then I met you. And since then, I was thinking to ask you all the time this question, like, what did small, little, young Ayumi dreamed about when she was super, super small and young?
Oh my God. So I was born in Brazil, in Rio de Janeiro. My mom, she's half Brazilian, half British, and my dad is Japanese. And when I was very young, all I wanted to do, I remember when I was very, very young, to tell you the truth, I wanted to be an astronaut.
Whoa.
Yes, but you know why? I wanted, because in Brazil, it's a very hot country, and I had never
Yeah.
seen snow. And my dream in life was to see snow. And I thought that I had just come from a geography class, and I had a geography book, and they said that Pluto was the coldest planet in the solar system. And I said, I'm sure in Pluto they must have snow. So I wanted to become an astronaut to go to Pluto to see snow. Well, that was my dream.
Okay.
Yes. And then we left Brazil. I was so young. I was 12 years old. And my mom, she moved to South Africa, to Johannesburg. It was still the apartheid years. And that's where I really learned. It was a big challenging for me to leave my father, to leave my family, to leave all of my friends at school and everything, and to go to this unknown country. Where everything was different. So I didn't speak English very well. First, it was a language barrier. And then it was still under apartheid, so there were schools by different race. And the girls as well, they didn't have the same rights as boys. Like at school, at home economics, we had to learn how to cook and how to sew and how to clean.
Yeah.
And boys, they would do woodwork and metalwork. And they had different sports as well. I remember going to see this friend of mine, Brother Rowe, in this beautiful lake in Johannesburg. And I thought it was so beautiful because, you know, in Brazil, all the sports that we have is with balls. So we have football, and we have handball, and we have volleyball. But we don't have that much, at least when I was young, rowing. And so when I saw that rowing boat, I said to my girlfriends, oh, let's go on the boat. And they said to me, no, you can't. I said, why not? They said, because we were girls. And girls back then, we were not allowed to go on the boat just because we were girls. And so that really upset me. And I said, no, come on. We already have to cook. We have to sew. We have to clean.
Like how many more
not even
things?
with a vacuum cleaner, with a broom, you know. We used to learn how to do that. I said, we have to be able to go onto a boat, girls. So I remember my friends and I, we went to ask our headmaster if we could make a girls' rowing team. And he said no for a couple of months. But every morning he would go to his head office until he was so sick and tired of seeing us in the morning. He says, okay, girls, you can do your rowing team, but you just have to do it by yourselves. The boys will not help you whatsoever. So I said, well, we don't need their help. We're not asking for them. And so that's how we started. And then we would train every day, like in the morning, before school, after school. Good thing in South Africa is that it's like the British kind of school system. So we finish school at about 2. So you have the whole afternoon to do sports or other activities. So we'd go rowing at 5 in the morning and then in the afternoon. And we trained and we trained. And at the end of that first season, we won South Africa championships. And that for me was life-changing. You know, it taught me so many different things. And I'm sure that my life would not have been the same had I not done that. back
Wow.
then. Mm.
Well, I think you've been through so many things, like many countries. You have such a diverse upbringing, and I'm curious how this diverse upbringing and living in so many countries. And I know you speak a few languages. How did this shape your career, and how did this help you want to empower 5 million girls?
Ah, yes. So, well, it's been a journey, right? Like you
Yeah.
don't wake up in the morning and say, "Oh, what if I empowered 5 million women?"
Mm-hmm.
So I think it really started like from this experience, from the sport experience, where I thought, well, I didn't know. It really showed me the power of, in fact, of not being a victim, right? Of being able to stand up for your rights,
Exactly.
and also the power of sisterhood. Because my teammates, like together, we were really one, and perhaps because I didn't have this support, this female support, feminine support at home, because I've got quite a challenging family life from my mother's side. I found this female love. I found it elsewhere. When I couldn't find it in my family, I found it with my friends and with people outside of the family circle. So, and it was really the first time I experienced sisterhood. So I knew that I didn't know what I was going to do with my life in the future, but I knew that I was always going to have a circle of women around me. This I knew. How? I wasn't sure. So after I left school, I wanted to travel, and my parents said to me, "You can't travel right now. You have to have some studies." And I didn't know what to do. I was very good in arts, fine arts. I had very good marks. So I said, "Okay." I went to university. I did fine arts, and once I got my degree, I went to work for Club Med, which got nothing to do, but all I wanted to do was to travel. And so South Africa is like here on the globe, Africa, and I wanted to get as far away from home as possible because once again I wanted to travel to discover the world, and because I had family problems. So I said, what's the furthest? And on the other side of the world there was Tahiti. So I said, that sounds like a good place to go. So from Johannesburg, it took me 3 days, and I went to Tahiti, and I spent a year there. And it was a wonderful experience because it was the first time I met with very different cultures and different people from all over the world. What I love about Club Med is that it's this French company on tourism, but at the same time, we have the chef de village, who's the managing director, and he works with groups of people, which called the GOs, or the Gentil Organisateur, from all over the world. So in my team, I was working in the boutique with a Malaysian man, and then my roommate, she was from Japan. So all these different nationalities, we were all together for the same purpose. And that for me also was a real life lesson as well, because you could see how diversity brings something beautiful, right? How working with different cultures, the richness it is. So after Tahiti, it was beautiful. I think if there was one most beautiful place I've been to was French Polynesia. But once we spent 1 year going around and seeing the coconut trees and the lagoons and the coconut trees and the lagoons, I said, oh my God, what do I really want to know? And I remember in my dream when I was a little girl, all I wanted to do was to see snow.
Okay.
So I said, well, this is the time. Now I'm a grown-up woman, I can see snow. So from the French Polynesia, I went to the French Alps, straight with my bag and everything. So all I had was like my parios, my bikinis. And I went to the French Alps to a ski station, and I was sick for like 3 months. Like my body just couldn't cope with it. Like the temperature shock was too much. And so after that, I said, well, ski's not for me. I want to go and see the desert. And so I went to Morocco, and I spent 1 year in Morocco, and I traveled all around Morocco. And anyway, that's after Morocco, I went to Brazil and back to France, and that's where really I started my career into hotel management. And I worked for a couple of years, hotel management, until I became the director of marketing and sales for this big group of hotels and casinos in southern France. I had 2 children, I got married, and then I had a midlife crisis. 30 years. When I was 30, I said, oh my God, what am I doing here? I had everything was perfect. So I had this wonderful 2 kids, 2 dogs, very influential corporate job, but I had no satisfaction in my life, personal or professional. And I thought to myself, it's the time I have to change something. What do I really want? And thinking about it, what I wanted was to be able to travel again, to spend more time with my kids, do something creative, and be more innovative. And trying to connect all the dots, the answer was simple, was, okay, I have to go into tech.
Okay.
And so I quit my job and I started learning how to code.
Okay.
And I started learning how to code, and then I was able to build websites. But at that time, it was with CD-ROMs, because we didn't have e-learning back then. It was in 2007. And so I started learning how to code. I made websites, and then I made small apps. It was also the beginning of social media, like Facebook for business and everything. And so I built my first company. And for 10 years, I focused on growing my company and my family. So I had 2 more children, fourth, and then I opened a company, then a second one. And then for 10 years, I was really focusing on like myself. What do I want? How do I grow? Am I happy, etc. And then after that, when I was 40, 41 even, and I had my 4th child, it was such a difficult pregnancy that I had to stay laid down for like 6 months. Otherwise, I would lose the baby. And so I couldn't move or anything. It was like tapping. I used to put a pillow between my laptop and the belly because I didn't want the baby to have like all the waves and stuff. And when I finally gave birth, I was exhausted, mentally, physically, and I needed to try and get inspired again and find new ideas. So I said the best thing for me to do is to go to meet other women that had also struggles like I did. And so I said, well, let me go to Web Summit. That seemed like the best choice in 2017.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I went to the Web Summit, and I knew there were not a lot of women in tech back then because even me to hire for my company, developers, it was quite difficult. But I thought it was 2017 and things were getting better, right?
Yeah.
But in fact, what I found out is it was 17, but things were getting worse. That means that in the 80s, there were more women in tech than there was back then. And that's when I was I was shocked because I didn't believe it. And I think, okay, not only I was shocked, but I said, well, what are we doing about it? And looking around, there were lots of initiatives that were for women, but there were more communities, right? So networking communities saying, okay, we don't have a lot of women, mostly, I wouldn't say, but almost like complaining about it. Yes, we don't, but what are we doing, right?
Yeah.
You can complain. You can say, yes, there are not a lot of women, but complaining and once again being victimized does not solve the problem.
Exactly.
And because early on I've learned that you have to be the change. You have to take action. And so I said, well, it's a global problem. We need global solutions. And so let's start Women in Tech, not only as a community, but also with programs so that you can really, take actions and try to solve the problem in many different ways, but with everyone working together. So that's how it started, Women in Tech. Long story, yeah.
It's, I know part of the story, but it's every time it's very inspiring because I didn't know like all this flow of events. But yeah, and I was actually thinking because in 2017, you would be proud of this. I was part of a mobile app development team, and guess what? We were a team formed of 4 girls.
Wow.
The whole team, and we were so proud of this because, of course, you cannot find anywhere something like this. And the customer was super excited. They were super satisfied with what we were doing. We were very creative. We were very proactive, and I really loved it. And that's when I figured and I learned that I was so used with being in a man's world all the time, like in the university and then back at work. But then I found myself within a group of amazing women, and I said like, oh, I need to I don't know, inspire more people to do this because it's so not a men's world. It's not so. A lot of people think like tech is so analytical and you have to have like this kind of skills. No, the tech is so creative sometimes.
Yes.
Like it's so creative. It's not at all analytical. You don't have. It's not a boring job. It's extremely creative. It's extremely purposeful, actually. Because imagine working. I was working back then for a health company, and I was basically building mobile apps for patients. So imagine that I knew that what the user, the end user, so the patient was seeing whenever I created something. So it was very purposeful. But I want to go back a bit because you said at one point, tech was the obvious thing or the obvious solution.
Yeah.
How was tech the obvious solution back then for you? Why? How was that?
You know why? I'll
Yeah.
tell you why. Because I told you I was always very good in arts. So
Yeah.
fine arts, painting and stuff. And so because I was working in comms and marketing, I had a vision of marketing material, like basically just websites.
Yeah.
And I said, this is how I wanted. I would like trying to do it. But the developers were never able to do it exactly as I imagined it or exactly
Yeah.
as I saw it. Because they were very... they didn't have this creative side. They didn't have this creative, artistic eye. And I've always liked to be, my whole life was a quest for independence in all sorts of ways, right? Financial, all sorts of independence. And so I always wanted to be able to do the things on the website myself. That was my thing. So that I don't have to depend on anyone. If I want to change something in the website, if I want to create a website, to be able to do it myself. And the only way was for me to start learning how to code. And so that's how it started.
Okay, now I get it. Because you said like, you were like, oh, so the obvious choice was techno. I was like, maybe for you, but like not for so
Yes.
many people. Because I think you also emphasize this creativity that's in tech. And I think it's very, very important, especially for the new generations. Because by the way, there are a few stats that say that there are less and less women or girls going to tech schools right now. So basically what Women in Tech Global is doing and what all of us that participate to this global movement want to inspire actually more women to embrace tech and to not look at tech as something boring or...
Of course.
Yeah.
And also to come into tech at any age. I think it's, as myself, I did fine arts, at school. And then here I am, now I've started an EDBA, so I went back to school.
Yeah.
I'm doing this executive doctorate in business administration. But I am doing my research. Question is on emerging technologies, on AI, and in policy making. And so, come on, from fine arts, I'm doing AI technology right now. I think you can change your life and you can be curious in any step. And everything that you've done before, it's always an asset. It's not because you did like fine arts or something else that you said, oh, I will never be able to change into it. On the contrary, it's an asset. You can always build into it and it will give you another view, another direction, another perspective in technology. And that's what we're looking for, this diversity of thoughts, of thinking, of people. That's what makes the richness and the beauty of it.
Yeah. No, I totally agree because, I have a tech background and then I went into business and then and of course I continue with that, but investing in startups, and then I went into marketing and sales. And I really do think that once you start learning more domains, like the connections that you can do between all of them are like super amazing, and you can like do things way faster and you can link possibilities, ideas, opportunities, people way faster. And I think that's such an asset that sometimes, there's this battle of specialists versus generalists, or like what is it better to be a specialist or is it better to be a generalist? And I think people are very different and have different traits and different strengths. So as you said, I think curiosity is one of the most underrated skills that we should develop.
I completely agree with you. Because when you're curious, you always want to learn more. You also know that you don't know everything, on the contrary.
Yeah.
And so there's some humbleness into that makes you accept also other ideas and see things in different ways. But also, make you try and find other solutions. And also, I think everything in life, not only in the job, but when like doors are being shut down, you think, okay, what's the next solution? How can I find a solution for this problem? Because there's always a solution. There's always a way out. And sometimes, it's not plan A, nor B, nor C, or sometimes like double A, double B, because you've got so many. But it does give you this resilience as well, I think, when you're curious.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know the story, and I want you to tell us the story about when you first started Women in Tech and the setbacks that you had, because I think you have, like, people can be very inspired by the resilience you have and the way you're so very focused on your mission. And I'm very curious how this idea of what you first thought of Women in Tech at the beginning when you started, and how did it change through time, and how did it evolve? Because I'm very sure it like
It evolves.
yeah,
Every day it evolves.
yeah, exactly.
Well, the mission's still the same, right? But
For
the
sure.
ways you get there.
Yeah.
So back then I knew that I wanted to create this. I didn't know how, I didn't know what exactly, but I just knew it had to be done. And so because I come from marketing, so I thought, okay, I imagined this brand, the programs, what we're going to be achieving. So I really focused in the beginning on the branding. And I said, okay, well, so it took me about 6 months to really trying to get into it, because I wanted to really, when we start, I wanted us to conquer the world right away. And I thought that because we're going to be saving the world with programs, with things that everyone was going to help. So in the beginning, kind of, because when I put out there, I said, well, we want to do, I said, how can we first do something like real? What program? Tangible.
Yeah.
I said, let's do an online class. Let's teach women how to code, because I come from coding.
Yeah.
So I said, let's teach women how to code. And I needed someone to work with me, because it was by myself. There was me and myself, right? So I said, okay. And this lady her name is Elena Kolevska. I will always remember her. She's from North Macedonia, but she's based in Portugal, in Lisbon. And we just met like on LinkedIn. She says, I have an edtech platform. I would love to help. I said, great. So let's do this. So I said, I put it out on Twitter and on social media. I said, we are doing a summer boot camp. We're going to be teaching 50 women from across the world, 3 weeks for free, how to code. Who wants? And I was surprised there were 200 people who applied for it.
Oh, wow.
We had nothing, right? Like no one. I said, we want, and all these people came, and I said, well, we've got something, like there's a real need. And so we chose 50 women from the 200, the ones who were most in need, the ones who had most time, etc. There were quite a few things. And the youngest was 14, and the oldest was almost 60. And they came from 35 different nationalities. And in 3 weeks, they learned how to code and do a little bit of front-end development, right? So they were able to do their websites. They knew HTML, CSS, a little bit of PHP, touch a little bit of Java. And so they were able to make their websites. And that's how it started. And I was so inspired and energized. I said, well, let's carry on. And I always see things big. And because I thought, once again, that I was going to be saving the world, not myself, but like the movement, and we're going to be that everyone was going to be able to help, but that wasn't the case. So I thought, what's going to be the first, like the event that's going to be able to bring everyone together to highlight women? Because I think first we have to have role models, right? And then and we have to have speakers on stage. So maybe the best way was to identify women and initiatives from across the world who are doing wonderful things, who are champions for women in tech. So women who are excelling in their domain, so that we can have these experts, have these role models, and also initiatives that are having positive impact, because we don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. So I said, instead of me trying to invent something new, why don't we identify the people, the programs and initiatives across the world who are already doing great work, who are showing impact. We identify them, we learn from them, and then we just replicate, and we give them visibility, and we give them support. So that was the idea of the very first Women in Tech Global Awards. And I said, well, we have to do it in Lisbon, because that's where I had like the first idea of creating Women in Tech. It was also where there was Web Summit, so many people and leaders from across the world were going to be able to meet there. And so it was going to be like cheaper as well, because I would never be able to pay for the people to come. But I thought I was going to have at least 1 or 2 sponsors, to pay for the venue, things like that.
Yeah.
But I had no one, like not 1 cent. So I borrowed money from the bank. The bank didn't want to give me money, because they said, well, of course we can give you money, but if you come back with your husband, maybe we can lend you some money. So I said, my husband? What does my husband have to do with it? No, I'm the entrepreneur.
Whoa.
I have a company. I am launching this. There's no need for husband in here. So I was, and when people tell me no, it gets me so mad, but it gets me even more like motivated. So I'm going to show you.
Yeah.
You don't know me. I'm going to show you.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, not a problem. And I also had obviously taken like the most beautiful hotel, because it's the awards.
I love this.
It's it's a very noble cause. We need a noble place.
Of course.
Right. So I had like a 200 VIP dinner, like a gala dinner for 200 people. awards and stuff. You know, I had them handmade because I want them to be beautiful. Because every detail counts. It's like the love that you put in the things that you do that gives the results that it does. Anyway, I didn't have any money. So I said, okay, but let's print T-shirts. There's so many people around, you know, there are 100,000 people who come to Web Summit, some women. So if we sell at least 1,000 T-shirts by 20 euros, 20,000, it will be able to kind of pay for the dinner. So I came with my 2 children. The baby was still, he was only a year old. And 1,000 T-shirts, so in the luggage. Luggage is everywhere. And I went in front of Web Summit and put out all the luggage. The children were there. We were all selling T-shirts. And I sold maybe 1 or 2. And then suddenly the police arrives. And they said to me, where's your license? I said, what license? I said, the license for the T-shirts. I said, I don't have a license. But you know, we are women in tech. We're doing this for good. We have to. And I said, either you get out of here in 10 minutes, and I'm going to confiscate not only the T-shirt, but also your passport. And I said, oh, my God. And I was crying, and the baby was crying, and my daughter was saying, Mom, what's happening? I said, no, it's all fine. So I'm putting all the T-shirts back in, and then all the suitcases, we go back to the car, because I had rented a car. Something that you must never, ever do in Lisbon, because it's not a city for cars. Anyway, and the car, because I was badly parked, was being towed away. So I just see the car leaving, and me crying, and the children there, and the T-shirts. And I said, oh, God, it's okay, we did it. It happened. This is not, you know. And it was a wonderful, and we managed to pull it off. It was a great event, and we needed volunteers also to help us. And so I put it on a Facebook group and said, well, we're doing these awards. Does anyone want to help? And one of the first people who answered, her name was Claudia Mendes Silva. Oh, and she came,
Portugal. Yeah.
And then I met her in, it was this place where they've got like food and stuff. I forgot the name, anyway, in Lisbon. And she says, I'm here to help. How do you want me to help me? And I didn't even know, but this lady, she's an engineer. She's like super bright. So I said to her, just come tomorrow, and then there's going to be work to do. And she came, and I just wanted her to pass the PowerPoint, you know, with the awards. And she was there. She was happy, and she was folding the T-shirts. And after that, she said, I really want to help. How can I help? So I said, well, let's launch this in Portugal. And so she was my second ambassador. She launched, and she was ambassador for Portugal. She still is, and she's still with us today in Global Women in Tech. And she is one of team directors as well for the global movement. So that's also where I met. It was Candace Costa at the time, and she helped open the chapter in the UK. She was Brazilian. And then one of the two of the winners, one, her name is Polina Vasilenko. She was a winner, but she couldn't come to Portugal, but she won. I met her a couple of years or months later, and she really helped me also launch the chapter in Russia. And one of the ladies who won the most, I think it was disruptive. I can't remember exactly what award she won. Catherine Trajewska, and she helped launch the chapter in Macedonia. So it's always about connections. In fact, things like this, when the women meet and they see the authenticity and the power and what we can do together, they said, okay, I'm here to help. And then you trust them, and then that's when things start. Yeah. So that's really how it started, because then we started opening in the UK, and then in Portugal, and then after in Netherlands, and then started growing like this. Oh, very organically.
Yeah, because I remember very clearly. I was very interested in like this movement, Women in Tech, and I just ended up on the Women in Tech website. Mm-hmm. Like I think it was 2019 or something, 2020. I don't quite remember exactly. And you were like the global movement was doing some kind of a mentorship program for 3 months with people around the world. So I offered to be a mentor. I was so excited to meet women from all around the world, and I had 3 mentees. I think it was Poland, UK, and Nigeria, and it was quite an amazing experience because they all wanted to evolve in their career, and 3 or 4 or 5 months later we discussed a bit, and they were all flourishing, and I was very happy. Of course, don't think that I even contributed 1%, but it was, I think, just
of
someone.
Of course you did. No, don't say that.
Yeah,
it's important.
I think it was just the like to see that someone is there for them and motivates them, because I don't think that I said I don't know what I've done for them, but I think it was important, and that I was there for them. And then I understood that that's what's important, and that's what I was also missing. For the beginning of my career, it's someone that's just there for me and helps me navigate through some I don't know, day-to-day anxieties or whatever I was going through. So then I was thinking, okay, why don't we have this in Romania? So I saw you have so many chapters around the world, and I said, like, Romania is such a big hub, right? So, and then I said, like, oh, maybe I should text them, maybe I should do this. But then I come back to my strengths, and I know I had a lot of things to do back then, and I said, I will not be able to do it the way I wanted to do it. Maybe next year, when I'll be maybe a bit relaxed, I will start doing this. And guess what? What happened? Not even a year after, there was someone, Marion. So she wrote a message on LinkedIn, like, do you want to, I see that you're a mentor for women in tech, global movement. Do you want to meet for a coffee? I said, sure, of course. I met with her for a coffee, and she said, you know, I texted the global organization, so we're going to have Women in Tech Romania, and I'm here to ask you if you want to be part of the board of advisors. And really, I wanted to cry, because I was thinking, like, this is like, you want to do something, and this is like pure manifestation. I knew that I wasn't the right person to start this. I knew that I wanted to help or contribute in some kind of a way. And then things just happened. It's like, really, like, maybe for people doesn't seem like this is such a big thing, but for me back then it was like I wanted to contribute to this story, and I somehow, not in the way that I thought in the first time I was thinking about it, but it happened. So then, being part of this organization and going to a lot of events and meeting all these amazing women and men around the world, I realized the true power of diversity. Because I think that a lot of people talk right now about diversity, but I think that the true benefits of diversity are not really like so well known. Like how diversity drives innovation, how being in diverse environments just, I don't know, makes your brain move faster, how it gets to better decision making, how it empowers you to do things that you never thought you're going to do. So now it comes to my next question. How do you do all these things? How do you keep track of all these things? Because right now, Women in Tech is how many chapters?
50.
50. Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. But you know, I didn't know your story. I didn't know that's how you came into. I knew you were bored, obviously, but I didn't know you were mentored before. And then, I'm so happy. I'm so touched.
Yeah, that's the story.
And here we are.
Yeah, and here we are. And we met in Dubai.
I remember that.
At WE Convention.
Yes, at WE Convention. And then what else? We met also other places.
Yeah, I mean, Women in Tech, Paris.
And then
we
were supposed to be in Brussels.
Yeah.
And then I couldn't come.
Yeah.
That was it. Yeah.
For that conference. Yes. Yeah. I really think that it's I don't know how to say it, but it's not advertised enough, you know? I mean, even if it's advertised, because a lot of people are asking me, like, why do you need women in tech? Oh, by the way, why do you need women in tech? Tell us why, so that people don't ask me anymore.
Why? Because, well, perhaps it's not for everybody, but I think it just, we try to make it's a community. It's not just a network. If you want to go just for a network, you can find just network. If you want to find empowerment, if you want to be educated, upskilling, we have that. If you want to find a job, we can help you, helping you with your CV writing and then put you in contact with companies that are hiring. If you want to be mentor or if you want to be a mentee, you can, because we've got the mentoring hub. If you're a startup looking for funding, we can try and help you, with connections. So in any stage you are in your life, whether you just come out of school or if you're already a senior leader looking for board positions, there is something that we can support with. And what I think the most important is we really try, and that's what I really try the hardest, is to keep it authentic with people that are kind, really that want to give, and that want to do people good. And so that there's always joy, in these relationships, and authenticity and love. And I think people feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really truly resonate with this because I'm the kind of person who what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
And what I loved the first time of being in Women in Tech, and I'm very honest, is that what you see is what you get. And that people are here and they walk the talk. And they do. They just don't just say, oh, I want to do good, or I want to empower women, or I want to help them. They truly, genuinely want to do that. And because I think that you said that, like, you were so successful in your life and you had everything, but you were like feeling that something is missing. And I think that's like, now I'm getting to understand these things. It's not only doing things for yourself, it's doing things for others as well. And for some people, when they don't quite get that, they say, oh, that's kind of BS. But it's really not. It's really what makes you like I don't know, when one of my mentees texts me that they got promoted, or they got what they wanted, or like they, I don't know, find joy in their day-to-day life. It's like, it's better than getting a promotion, getting a raise, getting, I don't know, whatever.
They say there's one of my role models. I think I don't have that many, but one is really Nelson Mandela.
Okay.
And he said something for many different reasons, but one thing he said is like, you're not gonna to have a truthful, meaningful life is not what you've done, but it's the impact that you have on the lives of others, right? That's a true impact, and it's so true because there's so much joy when you know that you're changing someone's life. It's also almost selfish as well because you get so much joy that you know what I'm doing.
Exactly.
But it's just, and what you give is what you get as well. I really think that. So you don't give because you want to get something, but because you're giving and you give it in such a way, I think there's like this life, this like law of the universe of that, brings it back to you like 100 more times, and even without you wanting it,
Yeah.
There's some, I believe that like energy goes round, and so if you plant things that are positive, it will come. Now, I'm not saying it's not hard. It's going to be just gifts because oh my God, every day is hard. It's hard. But just me being here with you and being able to have grown this movement and having women, exceptional women and men around the world doing things. When you know how to surround yourself and you keep the toxic people out, then positive things come. Once again, I'm not saying it's easy because every day there are challenges, but overall, just for me, just how people say, how do you get so much energy to do so much? But for me, it gives me energy.
Exactly.
Because it's so much happiness. I have such a great time. I travel. I meet extremely wonderful people. We do impact. We do good. We have fun. Because all of this, we're all having fun, right? Otherwise, that's what life is all about. Yeah. I think life is all about making meaningful connections, having fun, learning, being curious, discovering things, having a good glass of wine with people you love. There's nothing better.
Yeah, I just, like, right now, I was thinking about, like, what I feel in my body, Yeah. Like, I'm so excited. Like, I have so many ideas that, like, I'm like, oh, when we finish this, I want to talk to you about this and this and this and that. And then I want to text some people. And I think that's how ideas come to life and how amazing things happen. And one of the most important things that I love about this community is the fact that there's no competition, and that this community really teaches you that it should not be any competition. There's place in this world for everyone.
Everybody. I believe in the law of abundance, right? The more you give, the more you get. But really, there is a place for everyone. And the more, you don't have to share stuff. Otherwise, you start,
Exactly.
making walls and ingredients stuff. There's enough for everyone.
Yeah.
And more.
Yeah.
And we want more to come. So just join.
Yeah, exactly.
But people have to have like the same kind of mindset. Otherwise, can really spoil things. That's why you have to be the people that are leading the chapters in Women in Tech. We're very, very strict on that. Although they're all volunteers.
Yeah.
But that's also what I've learned. It's not because people are doing things for free, because they're volunteers, that you just take anything that comes. It's important. You have, even when it's that, you have to choose, because you have to choose the right people. Whether you're hiring them for a full-time job or for a full-time volunteer, that doesn't matter. You have to choose the people, because all comes down to the people, always.
Yeah.
Although we are women in tech, but it comes down to the people who are going to be leading it, who are going to be installing the values, the energy, the love, the intention, right? The intention has to be the good one. And so we're very careful on how we choose our people. And I'm very happy that we've got the most wonderful team that I'm very proud all over the world. And that's what makes the magic as well.
Yeah. Yeah, because we're in the tech business, but we're not in the tech business. We're in the people business.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people should understand. We're not in the tech business. We can have amazing products. If we don't have amazing people, you cannot do anything with those products. There's nobody to build those products. There's nobody to sell these products, because the passion of the people sell the products. So it's not a tech world. It's a people's world. So what I wanted to go back is, and what I find fascinating is that I meet with a lot of people all the time, and they're not only the young girls or the young people who of course they want to move forward in their career, but there's a certain point in people's careers when I noticed they want to change. They want to do something else. Like I was just talking today with one of my friends, and that, did you notice that something is happening and they want to completely transform their career? And women in tech is actually a good place to be in, because you can upskill, right? And you can learn how to code at any age. But women in tech, it's actually not only about code, right?
No, not at all.
So women in leadership, women in
innovation. We teach blockchain, but also a lot of soft skills as well, right? And we do have partnerships with universities like the University of Luxembourg, l'École des Ponts here in Paris, where they've got like higher courses and certifying courses and programs that can really help women take that next level and have the skills needed to be able to reach the dreams of trying to shift from one job to another. So we support them morally. We support them with the programs as well. Yeah. And then we create this community that's going to be supporting afterwards, because we don't want to leave them there. And I think when you know that you're part of this community, you feel already empowered, because, I'm not alone. You know, I've got people there cheering for me and opening doors, because it's not just, yes, it is the soft skills, it's empowerment, but also the network is so important. So many times it's not what you know or who you know that's going to be able to put you in connection with that person, that's going to open that doors, that heard about something that person needs, and makes the introduction. So once again, it's down to the people.
Yeah. I actually love being that kind of person who, I know 2 or 3 people, or what you do might be connected with this and that. And then I get so much satisfaction from that, although I get nothing. It's like it's nothing in for me, but I get so much satisfaction of putting all these puzzles together. And this community has also done a lot of great stuff for me, because I have so many new best friends from this community, by the way, that I met at the Women in Tech
the summit,
global summit.
That was nice, huh?
I cannot wait for this year. It's like only listening to the music and the vibe that's there when it starts, and you know how it's going to be. So is it 6th and
7th of May?
Yeah.
And it's going to be extra party. You know why? Because the 8th of May is my birthday.
Oh.
I know.
Oh, okay.
So 7th of May, you're just going to, after...
I already booked my hotel, so.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yes. Good to go.
Thank you so much, Ayumi, for
pleasure. Thank you for
having
me.
Just one more thing.
Yes.
Leave us with, I don't know, something that got stuck with you this past period that can motivate all of us.
God, just what can... Honestly, I just came back from Washington, D.C. I was in Washington, D.C. last week because I was invited by the French Embassy to speak for the Women and Girls Science Day. And while I was there, I tried to get a meeting with Her Royal Highness Princess Rima, who's the ambassador of Saudi Arabia to the U.S. And I didn't know her. I sent the first email. They didn't answer back. And then I said, you know what? I'm here. I'm going to send again. I'm going to try my chance. Because she's so, like ambassadors, they've got so many things. And the day before I was leaving, I got a message from the embassy. It says, yes, she would love to have you. I said, oh my God. So trying again. So you have to try and try your chance. And when I met her, she is the most inspiring woman I think I've met for a long time. I even had like tears in my, I was speaking to her like tears in my eyes, tears of joy, and like, when you're so happily surprised of someone and just enjoying the moment. And what she did to me, I said, how can I help? And she said, well, I can help you in this and this way, but it was mostly, okay, making the connections, as we said. Sometimes it doesn't have to be, I don't know, something specific or doing, but connecting people to the people that really, they're going to be able to help the way you want is the best help. And you can always do that, right? When you've got something, what she has is contact, is this and that. And she really, truly wanted to help. And she was incredible. So I think that when someone that reaches out to you, accept to meet the person and really try to do your best to help that. And I think that was the best present she could have made me. And like, I feel so uplifted now. I think, oh my God. Yeah, incredible. Incredible. Yeah, maybe that's it.
Thank you, Ayumi. And thank you for this present.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.